What's up, YouTube? Welcome to my channel. So, interesting fact, I have actually wanted to start a YouTube channel for a while. I may or may not have upwards of several hours of content that I need to post, that I need to edit down and get in some kind of order so I can post it. But the topic of this video interests me so much that I was like, you know what? It's going straight to the front of the line. It's going to be my first video on my channel. Yes. And what am I talking about today? Well, if you saw the title, I am talking about millennials and the way we are attacked on TikTok. More specifically, I'm talking about the attack of us responding to attacks with our own attacks. It's just, let's get into the content. If you're not familiar with TikTok or the criticisms of millennials on TikTok, the app is very popular. It was very popular with a certain age group until the stay-at-home orders hit in March and April of 2020. All of a sudden, everybody from every age group, old, young, babies, Generation Z, X, Y, boomers, everybody was flocking to TikTok to make content. And because millennials were on TikTok and we had some time to be self-reflective, we were making content that was about us, and we were talking about ourselves and making community about ourselves. And for whatever reason, that inflamed Gen Z. They did not like that. And what's so funny to me about the criticisms is they had nothing to do with what we were doing currently on the app. Like me being a millennial and an older millennial, I know I watched videos where people were talking about their jobs, their energy levels. Those are the kind of things I was watching. But the criticism that was coming from Gen Z was based on things we did 10 years ago. It was like they had been sitting on these criticisms and these things that they absolutely hated about us for years, waiting for the moment to pounce and to let their hatred be known. And my only question is, why? I seriously could not figure it out. But also, I think a lot of millennials were hurt by it.
All right, when I say a lot of millennials, I'm talking about myself. Some of the content that was created that I saw was just incredibly mean-spirited, even though I know this is basically a bunch of young people just joking around. A lot of it was really mean. I wanted to include some of those TikToks in this video, but I don't want to invade those people's privacy, but you can just search the internet and see what I'm talking about.
Because we were so used to getting dumped on. Ever since I can remember, millennials have gotten dumped on for being weak, unmotivated, we're not good with money, we love avocados too much, and we pay for too many $5 coffees. And this criticism came from the baby boomers, the generation that raised us, and the generation that was so disappointed in us when we graduated into the recession. I really believe that nobody had an issue with my generation until the recession. And when that recession hit and people saw that we were having trouble establishing the next leg of life, how we weren't able to buy real estate, how we weren't able to get into these long careers, how a lot of us were leaving our cities that we wanted to live in and moving back home with our parents, we got dumped on so hard. There was very little empathy. It was thought that our failures were only due to something that was lacking within ourselves. And it wasn't until years later that people kind of stepped back and they said, whoa, that generation was dealt a bad hand. And honestly, around 2015 to like 2020, I would say we had 5 good years where people were kind of laying off of us, where they were like, you know what, they're pulling it together. They're really doing it. They're not doing too bad. And then the pandemic hit. And people were inside, and millennials went over to TikTok, and Gen Z, a generation right behind us that had been watching us fail, decided now's the time we let them know they suck. So what were some of the specific criticisms that Gen Z had for us? Well, they didn't believe we were political enough. We hadn't done our part to try and save the world. They did not like our fashion and our clothing choices. And they thought that we were nerdy, dorky, cringy. A lot of the things that we love to do were just, disgusting. But my question was always, where were their facts coming from? As far as us not being a political generation, was it not millennials who were marching up and down on Wall Street for Occupy Wall Street, demanding to be taken seriously as the 99%? Was it not millennials who started Black Lives Matter back in 2012 in response to what was going on with Trayvon Martin and Philando Castile and Mike Brown and dozens of other black men who were publicly executed by police? Millennials started that movement and kept it going, had it there for Gen Z to step into in 2020 when the movement arose again. Was it not millennials who started kneeling during football and basketball games during the national anthem while wearing I Can't Breathe shirts? Colin Kaepernick is a millennial. And also, I saw someone say in a comment section, well, all they did was get Barack Obama elected. Since when is getting the first black president of the United States elected not a big deal? I'm sorry, whether or not you agree with him as a leader, a lot of the things that people benefit from today happened because millennials got out there and campaigned. We wore our change shirts, we wore our hope shirts, we donated, we rocked the vote, and we got him in office. So things like gay marriage were legalized, DACA was enforced, and the Affordable Care Act. These things exist because millennials were like, we saw what happened with Bush and we don't like it. We did something to change it. So how is the generation who pushed all of that change forward accused of not being political? Also, I gotta talk about the taste and the fashion. Look, how are you going to sit up here and say that a generation that gave you YouTube wig tutorials, that taught you how to contour, that taught you how to do your brows, that taught you how to Gen Z, and I have another video I'm making about the different advantages that they enjoy that I wish I would have had when I was younger. Gen Z has so much access to ready-made information. I see 7th graders walking around the street that look like they were a professional makeup artist because they don't have to do what my generation had to do, which was open a magazine and figure it out. It's right there in their screens. Millennials were the ones that pioneered that technology forward. And here are some other technologies we pioneered forward.
So I'm very aware that when we're talking about fashion and style, the things that people don't like about millennials are like the mustache tattoos and the big glasses with no lenses and the insistence on wearing shirts with avocados on them. But I also think of technology and communication as the style that shapes how people meet and relate to each other. So in my mind, millennials really shaped that, and so that's what I wanted to focus on at this point in the video.
And I realize dating apps aren't style per se, but they are a kind of communication style, and millennials pioneered that. When I was younger, the only online dating that existed was Match.com, and you had to pay money for it, and you had to send a little heart, and maybe they blinked back at you, and also it was thought of as just being really creepy to even meet people on the internet. And then came millennials, and we changed the way people meet. And now Gen Z thinks nothing of signing up for an app and meeting someone new. And you can argue against dating apps all day. I actually have a video about that too that I need to edit and get out there. But at the end of the day, they did facilitate meetings for people that otherwise might not have met. And then I gotta say, you have so many millennial musicians and artists like Beyonce, Lady Gaga, Ariana Grande, that Gen Z worships. They came from a generation as well. So how did we not have any style? How were we literally a group of people that were just wandering around in the dark until Gen Z shone the light on us and let us know how badly we suck? And then as far as this being cringy, okay. We were a little obsessed with bacon. We were a little obsessed with dogs. We were a little obsessed with coffee. But if I may offer a defense, a lot of millennials went from having to work maybe like one after school job to having to work 3 jobs with their degree while getting a master's. The way that we were set up to experience the world and the way the world actually ended up being when we got out into it, it was a traumatic shock. Now, the one thing I will say about Gen Z is they've never had the wool pulled over their eyes. They have known that the world is a crazy, rocky place since they got here. Gen Z, a lot of them arrived in a post 9/11 world. So the feeling that millennials had of America being this safe, wonderful, strong place, the feeling that was taken away so rapidly when 9/11 happened, Gen Z never dealt with that. Gen Z were babies when 9/11 happened. They were babies when the recession happened. They just literally always watched the world in a state of fire. It is burning down. They never got what we got, which is you are safe, you are secure. Whoop, never mind. So as far as this being cringy is concerned, I sincerely believe that millennials leaned into a lot of things as a form of escapism. We were drinking all that coffee because all of a sudden we were working more than one job. We were talking about bacon because it is delicious, and we were focusing on something that was a unifying experience. And as far as dogs are concerned, they're amazing. They're awesome. And animals provide emotional support. And I also want to say that millennials were pioneers of memes. And so we laughed at certain words when they were new to us, like doggo. Okay, it was hilarious at the time, or dog, or whatever else we did. At the end of the day, every generation does something or has something that belongs to them and them alone. And I will never understand how you have a group of people, and I'm talking about Gen Z, who think it's acceptable to just rip other people to shreds for being themselves. I don't get that. Most importantly, I don't get why people think it's so wrong when a millennial responds, even if that response is cringy. For example,
what? Gen Z's trying to what? Cancel Eminem. Gen Z's trying to cancel Eminem? Honey, that's cute. Listen, little kitties, let me make this quite clear. This man was around even before you were here. So what, you're all mad because the man was a lyricist while all your rappers are mumbling gibberish? No, go ahead and shut your mouth. Better yet, go and sit your ass in time out because boy was running laps even before you could walk. Hell, boy was spitting bars even before you could talk. So no, I'm afraid you're null and void, dear. I'm afraid your opinion don't matter here because one day you'll grow up and see how everyone went and forgot about Z.
And we can't forget.
And I'm proud to be a millennial with my side part and skinny jeans. And I won't be told what to wear or how to use emojis. Would you kindly shut the up? Ain't nobody asked you for your opinion anyway. Here's a message from millennials to Gen Z. Stay in your motherfucking lane.
And oh Lord.
Gen Z, you can suck it. You can't tell me what to wear. Cause I've been rocking this side part since you had Kermit on your underwear. So cute. And you can pry these skinny jeans from my cold dead ass, you hear? So Gen Z, you can suck it. You can't tell me what to wear. Oh, you guys look grumpy. You should take a nap.
Now, all of these women had something in common. They decided to respond in a musical way, and they made something that they probably should have kept in their TikTok drafts. But the issue that people have with it a lot of times isn't the quality of what they did, but the issue that people have with it is, how dare they respond to children? Gen Z, they're just children. Many of the people that were making the videos that were attacking millennials, those were not kids. You had 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 21. And here's another thing. I've worked in education. I've worked in it a lot. I have seen adults literally decimated to the ground by the comments and bullying that can come from children. It's why when I tell people that I work with 7th graders, I get the how? People are terrified of children because for the most part, there's this belief that kids can say and do whatever they want and adults are just supposed to take it. Well, I've never had that experience working with kids because I don't just take it. I let them know, hey, I'm a human being. And if you bite me, I'm gonna bite back.
Wow.
So I don't understand why people just basically showing their humanity is such an outlandish thing. I would rather be someone who responds to constant criticism with a song, with a rap, with a rant, like this video, than be somebody who pretends that I'm made of steel and it didn't bother me. What people have to understand about millennials is that with all of the great things that we did, such as pioneering technology and changes in culture and media, we get a lot of criticism. We even still get criticism today for things that we don't do. For example, when the pandemic hit, millennials were at home in the bed under their weighted blankets, while Gen Z was at spring break and we were being criticized for it. Because we are media's scapegoat, and we've been media's scapegoat for so long. So again, I think that these videos that these women made to bite back, they were made because these women had finally cracked. They had finally cracked after years of our generation getting dumped on and only thought of in negative ways. So in the end, I'm going to say something that's a little controversial. I honestly believe a lot of the TikTok criticism that came was because Gen Z wasn't out at school. They weren't around their friends. And I think that during that time of your life, you do spend a lot of your time looking around the world and trying to decide, how am I better than this person over here? Honestly, it's what happens. And it's not until you get to be a little bit older that you're comfortable with, no, I'm actually fine the way I am, and that person is fine the way that they are. I think that once the world opens up again and we really, really ease down on all pandemic procedures and schools open up and the things that are a normal part of life, I think that focus that they had on millennials on that app, I think it'll switch to the bigger world as a whole. I also think that Generation Alpha, the generation that's coming up after Gen Z, I think that Generation Alpha, when they look back at this time and they see some of the content that was maybe created, or they, even if they're watching it now and they get old enough to process it, their biggest question will be, why were you guys so obsessed with each other? And I don't think millennials or Gen Z will have a good answer. Thanks for stopping by.